And no, still need us to the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My steps on this robot thing.
Appreciate that.
Amazing. They went to Worlds.
All right.
Bedford program.
So this will bring us to the news portion. Greg, with some new teachers and staff hires. We want to introduce.
I want to hear. First of all, Adam Burns, if you stand up, please. Adam's our new chemistry teacher replacing Eric Florida. The key is to receive applause after the first year. That's when you're going down. Now we have two new secretaries of the high school, Tiffany Dolson. I don't see Sebastian here. Sebastian Gerster is a new 6th grade teacher. Said he was showing up. Is it still a zoo trying to park out there? That might be part of the process. Ben Duca, high school social studies. And Jesus Sanchez, who's here to teach elementary music. There are a whole slew of other people. I guess one of the good news things too is we did fill the 1st grade job that was vacated last week at North. Has been filled. The position was offered to Bethany Klinger, and she accepted late this afternoon.
All right, that brings us to our second good news. The Cobalt Commanders Tecumseh High School's robotics team.
I'm the team captain of the robotics team. Let's just get right into it. Robotics is a really unique activity at high school. It's something that we put together a lot of different skills, and you learn a lot of different things you don't really learn in other activity classrooms. So basically, every year we're given a game by the league, which has its own set of specific tasks, objectives, and we have to design a robot that can compete in that game and also cooperate with other robots built by other teams, mostly other schools, but sometimes not. So it's really incredible opportunity to learn about science and engineering, especially heavy teamwork and timing. We're given 6 weeks to build that robot, and it's done on a week, otherwise we can't compete. So to have to come up with so many different things and put them all together, and in separate teams sometimes, because there's a lot of different things in robots that are very different. You have to operate in separate teams, and bring those things together, and put them together on that frame. And we can't go outside that frame when we're in that confined space. If we exceed that, we can't compete. So the heavy teamwork and the real-time management is definitely probably the most challenging aspect of it, and for good reason. It's probably one of the most important things to do. So everything that works in the robot, somebody says build at a specific purpose. Everybody's learning something or gains something. So this year's robot was really neat for us, the competitions we went through. We made a lot of use of pneumatics, so different tubings on the robots. So all these different cylinders, they all do something. This one lifts, this one pushes, other things. We also use a vacuum system. The vacuum cup from the front of the robot is what actually grabs this hatch, and we use this hatch to place on different objectives for points. That's how we get points. That was a really big challenge, having to design all this tubing. Mostly the tubing, honestly, around the different things in the robot, because a lot of things we found to change towards the end of the 6 weeks. And we didn't have much time to reconfigure the things that we were putting in the robot. So some things we had to kind of finagle around. Like on the rear of the robot here, there's a lot of tubing that goes in circles. And sometimes we replace it because the people is up here. Just things we have to do. It's not ideal, but once you just accept it and move on, you have to figure out how to work around it.
different things with making this functional and being able to construct and transport it properly. Now, there are some things in the design process which we shall elaborate on later that I'm going to talk about. And then I also learned and applied safety regarding the transportation and construction of the FRC robot. So a visible example of a safety innovation was these patches that we have here, sort of straight on the back. So they clip like this, and then you can fold them up, and you can have two people on either side. That prevents fracture. And a lot of other teams did not have that feature. So it's something that we strive to do. We strive to build a good robot and a safe robot.
I think it's good to note too that last year we didn't have those straps, so we lifted the robot just under the frame right here. And we have to lift the robot onto the field, and there's a little bit of a ledge that goes up into the field, and I happen to be the person that was pulling it backwards. And because of that, we could rip the robot, came back down. So, yeah, sometimes things happen when you design a robot. So, I already kind of went into a little bit on the pneumatic and lift systems, but so every person kind of does something. So me, I will focus mostly on this rear lift system right here. So this right here lifts up the rear of the robot because part of the game is that we, at the end, we have to lift the robot up onto a standard 6-inch platform. This is exactly 6 inches off the floor. We have to get this up here. So these pneumatic cylinders push down and lift up the rear of the robot. And I did all this tubing that goes up here. All this tubing ends up back into this yellow main loop, which goes these two tanks right here. There's 2 more air tanks underneath the front. So having to, that was really challenging because especially the electronic board in this front frame right here started to change a lot in their dimensions towards the end. And I honestly got pretty lucky with this, so I was able to fit this in. So communication would be better.
Hello, I'm Michael, and I am a sophomore, so I'm on the team for my year. And I was mainly with developers in Charlotte, and they are just protection for the robot, and we need to so we gotta people want to hire developers on, and they are the sewing is more complicated usually because you have to make them double-sided, and we did. Oh yeah, make them double-sided because it's easier to it's easier than having to take the bumpers off. Some teams that take the bumpers all the way off, so it's really hard to do that when it's super bad. Because sometimes matches are back to back and you're trying to do that. So we decided to do that.
Yeah, because there's red teams and blue teams, depends on which one you place on. So you can flip your bumper around to be the blue team. Because sometimes there was matches where we had back to back. So we finished our match and we went back in line. So we had to have batteries in the cart and just swap out, put it there, and switch your bumper from there. Just a lot of fun.
And that makes sewing more difficult, but it is worth it in the long run because we don't have to switch bumpers around.
Another critical part of that is the bumpers have to be removed so they can weigh the robot when it comes in. So they have to be able to be taken off and put back on in a pretty short order. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Skylar. So I did the drawings for the hatch frame, which is this right here. And then we mainly put it into a computer to make sure that it would work well with the robot, because we have certain standards for how high it has to be and in the frame. And I also I made this right here, which is the hatch pickup, which I already explained, and the vacuum system. So.
Hi, I'm Sean. I work as the team technician this year. The technician repairs the robot between matches. This time can take anywhere between 2 minutes to an hour or so. Requires cooperation, time sensitive, troubleshooting skills. It's pretty stressful, but we make it through.
year, one of the biggest things that we work on is probably the engineering design process. So when you're engineering something, there's pretty, I mean, it's not an exact science, but it's a rough outline for basically the procedure that you take when you're going to design something. Because when you have so many different factors that go into something, it's a lot easier to take it step by step rather than trying to think about everything at once and really overwhelmed. So it's pretty much the core of engineering, and it's probably one of the most difficult things to learn, as much as it is the crux of engineering. I think you have to really learn the most, because it's the one thing that you can rely to be consistent. Sometimes, money, time, objectives, these things all can change at once. And sometimes they're random, so if you have a set, direction to go, it helps so much. And it's not really something that's taught in the classroom. It's kind of hard to teach that with, year to year with so many different kids. It really takes its own kind of thing, its own kind of activity that has to be at any time to do this. So every year in we go to U of M in January, and so there's kickoffs around the world, because first robotics is starting to become more of an international thing. It's mostly the U.S., but Canada, Israel, Europe, sometimes Europe. But anyway, they call it the kickoff. So everybody gets the rules in the game at the same time, all around the world. So that way it's fair. So they give their presentation online, and everybody's given a key to the rule book at the same time. So we get that rule book, and we get time there to start brainstorming how we're going to do it. So usually once we leave there, we have a rough outline of a few different things, a few different versions of the robot. I'm not sure specifics, but the objectives that we want to do, and generally how big we want to make the robot.
And then once we get our rules and objectives, we spend some time in capabilities. They provide us a kickoff and brainstorm ideas. And when we get back to Tecumseh, we begin researching these ideas and finding out which ones can do which things and which ones will be most effective. We usually end up with many ideas, so that's how we get to the process of which one we decide.
And then after identifying and researching our challenge, we converse in a group to develop ideal solutions. So to eliminate impractical solutions, we apply risk assessments. First, we identify the risk. Common risks are feasibility, cost, schedule, logistics, and funding. Second, we analyze that risk by weighing the possibilities and permutations of each scenario. And then finally, we develop a risk response strategy. A risk response strategy usually consists of recognizing the risk, attempting to avoid said risk, and monitoring and controlling it.
So we do drawing and prototyping. So we begin the drawings on paper, and then we move to CAD. For CAD, they let us kind of do the measurements, make sure that it'll work, make sure that nothing's going to have an issue. And it does the stress points, and then from there we build the prototype, and we just test it to make sure it won't break, or if it does break, then we can fix it.
We take prototypes that we build, and we put them through as much trial as we possibly can. Sometimes we make use of past robots to test our prototypes. Not only do we test that they function, but we try to break them to see how they break and learn from that and make it better next time. And it's to save materials and money, but also to ensure that we have a competitive robot drone.
So once we get through most of the prototyping and drawing up what we have, we start to put together our final product. There was a lot of different things that we had going before we had what we had there. We ended up breaking most of those things. But
Well, at least once, right?
Yeah, that's how we come up with the design that we have. That's the design that did break. That's the design that worked the best. That's what we put on. And it does work well. It's probably one of the most it's one of the more reliable robots we've had so far. So it's definitely a little bit of improvement. But putting all those things together can get kind of tricky, because since we only have 6 weeks, we generally only have about 2 to 3 weeks left once we get to actually putting the robot together, which it can get tight sometimes. It would definitely, sometimes we go pretty late to get this done. sense of satisfaction you get when it's, probably 2 hours from when you have to stop working on it and you finally finish it and close it up. It's pretty incredible. It's definitely what keeps me going towards it. It's different, it really is. And then it comes once we get to competition. There's things that happen in competition that we just didn't know were going to happen. You can't test for the full competition. You can't predict what other robots are going to be like or what they're going to do. Sometimes we actually saw a couple times where one robot hit another robot, and one of the other robots just pretty much completely came apart, which that stinks. But what was cool about it was once they got back to the pits, they were smaller teams. They didn't really have things to fix the robot. One of the other bigger teams, I believe it was Tecumseh, they sent members from their team over to that team and they gave them spare parts and they taught them how to put the robot back together. That was really incredible to see. We encountered that a lot where one of our cylinders will break, or we'll lose a bolt, we don't have another bolt, we'll go ask around. The teams are more than happy to help. Usually they're competing to help us because the league actually gives them awards for being the most helpful team.
So my teammates are going to set up a demonstration for you guys. So I'm going to talk about my experience on robotics. So I'm Maria, and I'm a graduate from Tecumseh's class of 2019, and I was on the robotics team for 4 years, and I was the captain for 2 years. I was initially attracted to FIRST robotics because I love math, science, and problem solving, but I now realize how much FIRST influenced my life in high school. Of course, I was able to use the knowledge I was learning in my classes in a challenging and fun way, but I also developed many soft skills. I was able to learn how to lead a team and encourage people with different personalities and work ethics to be able to come together as a team and accomplish a group project. The skill that I am most thankful for is learning how to effectively communicate my ideas. My peers just discussed the design process, and it was a great idea in theory, but it's worthless if you are unable to explain the design in a way that everyone can understand, especially because the team is full of people with different levels of experience. I'm also thankful for robotics because it reassured me that I want a career in environmental engineering. Although robotics definitely helped me get into my career school, the University of Michigan, it means so much more to me than just an extracurricular on my resume. It helped me grow as a person and has given me some of my best days with me. So what we're going to be showing you guys is the robot going up onto this step. So we'll show you I think Logan's going to explain how everything works. What we did to accomplish this next.
So the first thing it does, it carries these hatches around, picks them up and drops them. And it just sticks on like that because we have a vacuum system and back suction cups. And now the robot can drive around, and it can place it, and it can drop it. Whenever it needs to. It's all controlled with the controller right there and buttons for programming it. So obviously it's got wheels on it, so it drives too. So this weighs about 100 pounds, so I'll show you about 120 pounds. And then it's that's about a quarter per hour. We could get more, but it's not my business at the moment. But it goes on like that. And then like that.
And it's done.
Sometimes we have a pressure. There it goes. So usually we have about a minute before the match where we build pressure to avoid tanks, but this time we didn't. And it's done. It's done. One of the things we also have to do is we start on top of that platform at the beginning of the match. And a lot of teams design something to get the robot down. But we figured that it would take up too much cost or weight to design something to get the robot down off of it, so we decided to just... It's a lot easier to build better than it is to build such a resource. That's the robot.
Great job, guys.
Really, thank you for your time.
Where you guys at on robot wars?
No, they're not meant for that. It's only a squat operation, not discourage.
Hey, Coach. Coach, do you want to tell them about, they can see the matches online?
Yeah. So generally, First Robotics, they post the matches online on the YouTube and through live streaming. So if you Google it, you can see any of the matches of First Robotics when in a team. And see.
I think so. Blue Alliance can actually, is one of the websites that you can actually see the individual matches.
And if you use the team number, you should be able to find the matches that are these. Yep.
So our team number is 3773. So if you go to the website Blue Alliance and you search our number 3773, you'll actually be able to find the matches that we've participated in. I think it's good to note too that we've been improving each year. Not too long ago, we finished it last in the competition, and it wasn't a good feeling, but we improved from it, and this year we were in quarterfinals. We made finals both our competitions. So.
Woo!
That'll bring us to our first public comment portion on agenda items only. The agenda is full. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. And please state your name and company. Okay, moving on to revisions, approval of agenda. Any revisions? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as is?
I move to approve the agenda as is.
Support.
He's used to sitting on this side.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, first item is facility update, Mike Smith.
We went to elementary school together.
Yeah, girls used to beat me up in the neighborhood all the time.
That's not.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Mike Smith. Kind of been around here before. I was here from 14 to 16 and tried to retire again, and that didn't work. So I'm back for a second trial here. But just want to give you guys an update on where we're at for the facilities. I've been here since towards the end of May and stuff, so it isn't as long and there wasn't as much going on as in the past. First thing I want to start out with is safety, which is always the most important, at least to me. Right now, we're finishing up playgrounds, making sure everything's in good shape there. We've got the right amount of mulch and stuff that the state says we need to have, and everything's looking pretty good for the start of school at all the playgrounds. And then we monitor that monthly, just so we keep a good eye on it. So The other thing that's important right now is our annual pesticide notice. That's been posted. That's been up about a month now. Next is fire alarm systems. We're testing all the schools this week, so we'll have that ready. We've done the flow tests, which are required by the state and stuff. We did that last week, and everything come out good there. And the other thing is the fire extinguishers have all been inspected. We're still waiting on some to come back, but when they take them, they replace them right then and there, so we're in good shape there. The other big thing I do in the summer is we do all the bleacher and stadium seating. We go through and inspect it all, say in June. And they come back with a report saying, here's the deficiencies that we've seen. And I'm happy to report that everything's in good shape. We've had all the repairs made. The only thing we've got yet to do is the high school gymnasium. We've got to replace some of the bleacher seating. And the reason that's not done is because we have to wait until the manufacturer gets enough of these to make a run and then replace them. So my plan, or what I'm expecting, is somewhere around Thanksgiving, Christmas time to replace those. We also redid the football field, not added any pellets, just resurfaced it, made sure everything's where it needs to be. They put on the antibacterial stuff for the kids and all that, so that should be in good shape. As far as PMs over the summer, we've done a lot on our HVAC equipment, coil cleaning, filters, that kind of stuff. We aren't completely done with that. We'll try to keep going through the fall to get as much of that done as we possibly can. The high school generators, I've had both of them inspected. They're in good shape. So if we have loose power there, we won't lose power, so to speak. LED lighting. When I was here the first time, we went through and started installing all the LED lights at the high school, middle school, and then continued through the elementaries. When I came back, there was some kind of issue between the installer and Tecumseh, with them not doing what they're supposed to. So I went back to the contracts, and the contracts state that they're responsible for 10 years. Full, fix them. If they go out, they fix them. But they had an issue with the parking lot lights at the high school, and it got resolved, but we still have some work to do on it. So there was like $8,000 that they didn't get paid. And I finally got a meeting with them by the end of the summer here, and we sit down, and in about a half hour we had it resolved. So basically what they're going to do is provide us all the materials, and then that $8,000, they don't, with the economy the way it is, they don't have enough people to get to the high school. So I'm going to look at Radon to see if he can get those taken care of for us. They just brought all the materials to the maintenance facility down the road today, so we'll have them in stock. And then they will be sending some people in to do all the elementary schools and stuff, the lights out. So gym floor resurfacing, we've finished the high school and the middle school gym floors. Right now we're going to do the Tecumseh Acres is getting done here this week. We also had the state boiler inspections for Herrick Park, Patterson, Tecumseh, I'm sorry, I got to get used to this, East Steam, West Steam, North Learning Center, and the bus garage.
We don't.
That was probably the hardest thing I had to learn coming back.
I still like
So I've been
It's
writing
great.
it both at the same time. So we're doing well there. The one thing we're lacking, and when I was here before we had started really getting a little bit of a handle on it, is establishing PMs on our equipment here. And right now, I don't see anything that's going on a consistent basis. So that's one of the big things we're going to start looking at in maintenance, is getting that reestablished. A big thing we've got to do, we lost our facilities coordinator this last week. She moved on. We've lost about 6 janitors throughout the summer with the reductions, and there's always some change there. Today I lost another one, and was told by no one that he's probably going to be off for a little while here in the future. So right now I'm trying to do something to rebuild our whole maintenance department. Kind of take a good look at it. Where do we want to be in 10 years? Do we want to be in a position where we're just going outside the contractors, paying them $90, $100 an hour, or do we want to be able to do this stuff inside? And what that's going to do, if we're going to get that done, is you start doing your PMs and you go from stuff lasting 15 years to 30 years, okay? Plus you develop your skill level of your people to deal with all the stuff that goes wrong with them too as well. So it's a very good process to get into. So, as far as projects, big project I'm looking at right now is the janitorial restructuring. We've done some internal things to help eliminate, how do I say it, multi-people doing the same thing, just handing it down to people. We're going from person one is taking it to the end. So you're eliminating all that time. Gives them more time to do other things and put their efforts in a better position. One of the things we've established is 2 facility services technicians. And it's kind of a hybrid between a janitor and a maintenance person. Right now I'm focusing them on doing all our floors and stuff, cleaning, and they're also going to take care of all that equipment so that we don't have to chase around the school to see where's somebody that's got something that's working that we can bring here. So they'll be responsible for that, as well as we have room moves or whatever. They'll be doing some PMs on fire extinguishers, lights, and stuff too as time permits. So it just gives us a little more flexibility within that. The janitorial products, we've looked at that, and before when Carly was here, she was running around like a chicken with her head cut off to every day to what do you need, what do you need? And there was a lot of time being wasted. So what we've tried to set up is down at the maintenance facility a warehouse, and we've stocked the warehouse, and then my team leaders that we have for the janitorial staff, we provided them with an iPad and stuff, and they can create work orders and stuff with that. So what we do is they weekly provide a work order, just like anybody else in the school. That comes to me, I look at it, it goes to our courier. He goes down in the morning, picks it up and takes it to the school. So it eliminates all that other action stuff. So we're making headway, but we still have a ways to go. What I would like to ask tonight is, as part of this, I'd like to go outside and see what a competitive bid situation would look like compared to what we're doing. If nothing else, it's just good to look at that and see, are we doing the right things? Or are we not? Are we not competitive? And the big question, I talked to Greg about this, is do we really want to be in the janitorial business? I mean, we spend a lot of effort, and what you don't realize is when you outsource it, the facilities people still are involved, okay? But you get people like HR now. They've got to deal with hiring and getting people, invoicing, all that, edge staff, all that. And it just goes on and on. It takes up time that you don't really think of, but it's costing you in the long run and stuff. So I would like, with permission, to maybe pursue that and evaluate that, if that's all right. The other thing I'm looking at is I have a building efficiencies company I'm working with to look at solar energy. We really haven't got too far into that, as well as building efficiencies. I see since I was here, they put in some computerized maintenance management systems for our HVAC systems and stuff. And those are great, but if they're not set up properly and you don't know how to use them, they're pretty much worthless to you. So this company, they go in and they basically will give us an estimate of how much they're going to save us in a year. And then we split not the difference, but a certain percentage and stuff, and that money comes back to us. And then up front, they pay for a lot of the repairs and stuff to get that equipment to where they want it to be. And over time, it progressively gets, you know, we share what goes on with them. I don't have those numbers yet because they haven't had a chance to get through that. But that's kind of gives you the gist of what I'm looking for. And then the big one this week is we got to replace the transformer at the Compass Learning Center. I was over there a couple weeks. Well, it all started back when I was working with Consumers Energy on our rates and stuff, and we started talking about transformers. And I was asking, do you guys do all the annual PM testing of them and stuff? And they're like, yep, we do. I says, okay, well that's great. You take care of all of them. They said, no, not all of them. In the middle schools, yours. So I says, oh really? I says, how did that happen? And nobody knows. It seems to be back when they first built the building. They must have had some kind of deal where Tecumseh schools decided they wanted to own the stuff. So with that, I knew I had to at least get the annual inspections done because I have no idea when they were done before. And when we went over there, in the back, on the west side of the building near where the football field was, the one transformer I come up and the pad had oil on it. And I was like, oh no, this can't be good. So I got a hold of a contractor. They come in and took oil samples, and fortunately it wasn't PCB oil, which is good. And there isn't a lot of it, but, and then we opened it up and looked inside, and it's rusted out, the bottom of it, to where it's I don't know if somebody hit it at some time. I was told there was a parking lot came up in there, and they may have hit it. But anyway, it was rusting out and needed replaced. And it would be just a matter of time that something would happen, and that oil would leak out, and then you'd have a transformer failure or just a failure. So with that, they quoted, and what we're going to be doing is removing that transformer, putting a new one in. They have to come out of the primary switch inside the middle school behind the gymnasium, pull all that wire from the primary switch out, and then replace it because we need longer leads to get this transformer in. That's going to start at 7:30 on Friday morning. They expect that to take 8 hours, so I give them 8 to 10. I've hired JC Mechanical to come in and give us a controlled shutdown, rather than just throw a switch in. Who knows what can happen. I'm not as concerned shutting it off as when we start up. If you usually you do that and everything's on and you start it up, now you got a surge going everywhere, and a lot of sensitive equipment could be dangerous. So we're going to do a controlled shutdown and start up. So that's really the big picture at this point. Going forward, I don't know, I have to get with Greg. I know you guys were wanting to look at a capital plan, and I have had some conversations with some people and try to get that put together here in the next month or so. Big thing is to get this janitorial thing under control a little bit so that we're meeting the needs of our teachers and administration and the kids for the most part.
Why did we go, wasn't it janitorial outsourced before at the time?
Yeah, it was. When I was here, it was with Airmark. I'm not sure what took place after that. I talked to Nikki about it, and what she showed me was it was $1,000 difference in what it was costing us versus outsourced. And $1,000 that's probably a day. Within a day, you're spending that with the extra efforts and stuff you have to go through here. And it's tying up my maintenance people as well, just because, you know, they need help and we're always short-handed, it seems like. So I think it's reasonable to at least look at that and evaluate it and see. And I'll go in depth deeper with the financial side of it, so we have a really good picture of that too. Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, Mr. Mr. Rogers, you've been on vacation this summer.
Yeah,
Let's get an update. How was your vacation?
so it was great. I didn't get an opportunity to spend as much time working on school stuff. Apparently, the police department thought I should do other police stuff. But what I did do, we ended up going to a conference just after the end of the school year. It's basically a supervisors and management program for the school resource stuff, creating policies, because the policies that we operate under at the school are different than what the police department operates under, you know, as far as uniform and so forth. So a lot of that dealt with behind the scenes stuff, which, you know, we'll look at putting into place at another time. But what I wanted to focus on was the emergency operations stuff. So what we've done is when Compliance 1 came in last year or the year before, some of the data that they put out in the emergency operations plan hadn't really been negotiated. For instance, the reunification points that was laid out are ones that are very sensible, but it requires a contract between the entities. So right now we've got 2 established. East used to go to the Civic, however, we don't know what staffing is, what the hours of operation are. So we reached out to Fabricare. Fabricare is more than willing to assist us in times of need, so we have that agreement set up. Bader and Sons for the high school is also agreed. And I'm waiting on TLC as another opportunity for maybe the high school, and then the Catholic Church for West. North would be the pit still, and we have to get an agreement with the city, which they're going to do. I'm still waiting on that. And then last, south, there really is no place to reunify off all the property outside of where they've been going, which is the garage, the LASD garage. So working on that. One thing I did take away from the conference was a threat assessment. So anytime the school gets, any of the schools get a threat, we deal with it, but there's really no systematic, I guess, approach to it, documentable, that remains with the student disciplinary file. That way, if they change districts, you know, that can't transfer, and legally it can. So working on coming up with a threat assessment that has a central reporting, probably to the central office. That way, everybody has an idea of what's going on in each building. So I reached out, Mr. Mills and Anastasov have received a copy. I reached out to the counselors at the high school, and then I pushed that out. After they give me the okay, I'll push it out to the rest of the schools and try not to look foolish. Hopefully they found out my errors. So that's about it.
What's the scholarship we've got?
The grant?
Yes, the grant, thank you.
I think Nikki's going to talk about that,
Sure.
right? Or somebody is.
Okay.
I just applied and then it's you guys. So, and that's really what I've been working on, just trying to solidify that EOP that we put into place. So it'll take some time.
Are you back this week or?
I came back on Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
They moved me into the area with all the glass because they want people to keep an eye on me, which is okay. I need some supervision.
Cameras working that you can do? I mean, can you do the cameras at all schools do?
I can't view anything at this point. Now, Devin is working on making that happen.
Will it be able to be viewed at the station house?
There is a mobile component. My understanding is the mobile component, they have to be on the Tecumseh network to be able to view that. So unless that changes.
No, the short answer is no.
Which the goal would be to be able to view that off-site. So maybe that'll change in the future. I don't.
We can look into that.
Okay.
Is it cloud? That's not cloud, or it is?
It's not currently a cloud system, no.
So if it was a cloud system, you know, anybody, you know, central dispatch and Aiden would be able to view it if we had a critical incident. So it's food for thought, but at this point, no.
About 5 years ago, we were able to look at it offsite. Because during that season, we got to keep an eye on it.
Is that a safety issue, is that why that was taken down, or?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it was a software
Oh.
upgrade, but it's currently locked down to the network. We could look into opening that.
Like at VPN or something, or?
There you go, VPN.
Yeah, it's just expensive to add some of that hardware. A VPN solution would be costly. We could look into that.
Okay, please do.
seems like a good idea.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next is a math department update. Greg, you want to
Sure.
start this
Yep.
off?
Got a couple other things though, real quick. I did miss one introduction. We talked about hired teachers. We have an interim for now. Principal Kristen DeLand, if you stand up. I've been a teacher in the district for many years, and with the departure of Deidre Gamble, Melanie Nowak switched back from South to the STEAM buildings to run it, and it made a spot for Kristen. I'm sure she'll do a good job. She has her certificate in administration as well as a degree in special education, so those are big parts that will help us. Speaking of STEAM, when I stood up here in June and talked about the STEAM schedule, I screwed that up. So we don't have as much time on the schedule for the flex time like I wanted to do the cross-curricular activities. That's not Melanie's fault, that's not Deidre's fault, that's my fault. So I didn't do it intentionally, there was no underhandedness. I'm a big proponent of cross-curricular activities. Did them while I taught here, supported it when I was assistant principal at the middle school. I think it's the way we need to go. Fortunately, Deidre and her staff have taken the ropes on this, and they're going to incorporate that by modifying their schedule on Fridays or every other Friday so that there can be some special activities for the kids. The staff in those buildings have been doing cross-curricular activities for the last 2 years, so it's not like they're just developing them. They'll know what's worked well in the past, they can pull it out and they can utilize it, but it's certainly not ideal and it's not what I wanted, and I apologize for that. But please don't take it out on people at STEAM. If somebody's upset, they can direct that at me. The other housekeeping thing is on Friday, I'm going to close the board office because we won't have telephones, we won't have any internet because of the transformer being replaced over it. We can camp out, send smoke signals, but we'll have no modern way of communicating with anybody. So, on to the math department. After the math teacher interviews in June, I had 2 math teachers approach me with concerns about the Eureka Math program. They said, well, you got to do something about Eureka Math. Eureka, that's a vacuum sweeper, right? I had no idea. I've been awake this for a while, and I have kids at that age, and they had identified some weaknesses that they perceived to be weaknesses in the math curriculum or delivery, and there was just 2 people that came to me, and I said, well, I'm not going to act on the will of 2 people, but if you can put a group together and send out an email and invite those people to come to a meeting, I'll listen to you. That time we had 13 math teachers, 9 of them showed up. We only had 13 between grade 6 and the high school. 9 of them cared to show up. It was pretty unanimous. They weren't happy with Eureka Math, wanted to know what we could do to fix it, and I said, whatever you guys can present to fix it, I'll listen to, and then we'll move forward from there, because I have never taught math here, other than a little bit of math in 8th grade science, and I clearly had no idea what was going on at the current time. So presenting to you tonight are Will Ramsel from the high school, Kristen Hess from Compass. Jan Garner was supposed to be here for the STEAM building, but unfortunately she had a bit of a medical emergency, so she's not here tonight. But these 2 can carry on and listen to what they have to say, and they'll take questions when they're finished.
All right. First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here to address you tonight. It means a lot. Whenever I give a speech or a presentation, I always like to start with a quote. Any advice I give to my students usually originates from one of two things: a life experience that I've lived through, good or bad, or from a movie quote. At the heart of every legend, there is truth. A few souls unite to save their world. We can be heroes in our own lives, every one of us, if we only have the courage to try. Our fates were always intertwined, but now our worlds are joined as one. We need to repair our planets, work together if we wish to survive. And the person or thing that said this was the great Optimus Prime. One of the greatest leaders of my generation. I grew up in the late 80s and early 90s. So how is this connected to the situation? When I think of a few souls, that's us, and saving their worlds, that is our classroom. Teaching is our world. We are very passionate with what we do. This drives us every day to make the sacrifices needed day in and day out, to have the courage to try. That's what we've been doing these last few months, and it goes all the way back to April 2018. Our fates were always intertwined. To be successful at this job, we can't do it alone. I can't produce awesome AP calculus scores if my students are not proficient in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calculus. Those courses can't be successful if the classes in the middle school aren't mastered. We are all intertwined, and it's critical, now more than ever, that we take a step back and we reflect on many of the choices that we made over the last 2 school years in terms of our math program. And we all know that none of you were involved with that or had voice in those decisions. And that is why we are here today. So, like in our classroom, we have an objective: to strengthen our math curriculum district-wide by stepping away from Engage New York and allowing teacher-driven curriculum to be implemented into our courses. I can't stress this enough. We want teacher-driven curriculum. We want to get it back to some capacity that we had before. That voice that we once had. To be trusted to make decisions regarding our curriculum and continue the trust that you have with us to do what is best for all students district-wide, 6th to 11th grade. With that being said, I'm going to pass this on to Kristen Hess, who will discuss more about the supplemental program and Alex.
All right, great. We wanted to spend our time together this summer as we worked on things to do it right, make sure that we were looking at what would be best for our students and not locking ourselves into one program only. In our meetings, we looked at different possibilities, we heard presentations, and looked at the different resources that were options for us. We have the resources to use textbook-based Common Core curriculum for 6th grade through Algebra 2 for the 2019-2020 school year. Okay, thank you. Thanks. We want to make sure that we are implementing a supplemental program to begin working towards our goal of consistency in 6th grade through Algebra 2 math curriculum. When we talk about supplemental programs as something that is used to support the curriculum, it does not replace the curriculum. So they're 2 separate things. When we look at pre-calculus, AP calculus, and AP stats, those will remain teacher-driven curriculum due to the requirements of those programs for the AP classes. It's a little bit of a different situation. So when we say 6th grade through Algebra 2, we are not talking about those AP classes.
But those classes,
Or
the classes after that are already taken care of.
Yes, they've already been teacher-driven and set up for what is best for those classes. Agreed. All right, when we look at Alex, this is a supplemental program, so not in used, it wouldn't be used to replace the curriculum. So this would be used to help support students individually, what they individually would need, not only academically, but where they are growing, or if there's things from prior knowledge that need to be filled in. So ALEX stands for Assessment and Learning in Knowledge Spaces. As a supplement program, we were very impressed by the opportunity for our students to be able to use this. It's very strong as far as The artificial intelligence part of it, it really impressed us a great deal. It's something that is beyond what we've used in the math program before. It would be used to support the curriculum. For example, if I had a 6th grade math student that was ready to start some pre-algebra skills, the ALEX program would be able to make sure that they have the prior knowledge they need to do that, so that decreases on frustration. They would, ALEX would also be able to assess when they're ready to move on to the next step, so that you are moving on still, but not just reviewing. You're constantly cycling back through review and new things. And it would also support grade level work as well. Okay, all right. So we are looking to use ALEX as a web-based. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, very good. There we go. All right, sorry, I apologize. My papers were out of order. So we are looking to establish a consistent 6th through Algebra 2 curriculum for the future. Our goal, as we talked as a math department, would be to have the same publishing company, so we would be using consistent curriculum all the way from 6th grade through Algebra 2, using the same consistent academic language. Will would know what was happening in the classes before him by using the same company or same publishing company using that same program. It would not only help in us making sure we have the right connections from grade to grade, but it would also be more consistent for students to hear the same language, which is a huge bonus. Programs we are currently looking at would help us achieve district and building-wide goals for school improvement plan for our math curriculum. When we looked at how can we address our students' needs, we really focused on using a consistent curriculum and also a supplemental program that would address our individual students' needs as well as grade level expectations for where they are at. All right, so Alex.
Sorry, we found out 2 hours ago that Jan would not be with us, so we were taking on her part as well.
I got it.
Yeah,
This
there
is
we
right
go.
one, right? Okay,
Yep.
good deal. Thank you. All right, Alex is a web-based, artificially intelligent assessment learning system. Students would start by taking an assessment that Alex would then use to guide what needs to be reviewed, possibly, or maybe just touch back on. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to go all the way back to the beginning. So if there are any areas that a student needs to work on, it will help strengthen those, but it also would help support being ready, what you're ready to learn. It would then be introducing those next skills. And we talked about how sequential math is and how if you're missing any of those building blocks, your foundation has weaknesses. So we want to make sure our students have the best opportunity. Maybe they've forgotten something, maybe they just need to look at it again and then they'll remember those skills. And it gives them an opportunity to do that and then still be building upon that for their curriculum in their class.
And the best thing about this, it's not multiple choice.
Yes.
So you can't guess to move on. You have to know the curriculum. Any standardized test is not all multiple choice. So this is something that is huge in terms of math because they can't move on
Without proving
until
the
they get
skill.
it. And once they take the initial test, every single assignment from there on out will be different than the person next to them because it's artificial intelligence. It's based for that kid. It takes a lot to wow me. This wowed me. And I support it 100%. I think it's great. Or it's going to be a little bumpy at the beginning because it's a new program. But I think we're on the comeback bus. Like this is going to help us from the last 2 years of inconsistent curriculum, I think.
Absolutely. We have used supplemental programs in the past. Some of them, just to name a few, we've used MobyMax recently. IXL was at one time used in elementary. We've also used Catch-Up Math. Study Island was another one that Jan had mentioned that had been used. And so this supplemental program is not a new thing to math, and we've always found the value in it. We're excited because this is even a step further than what we've used in the past. All right, we have a short ALEKS video. It's less than 4 minutes, but it gives you a little bit of an overview to kind of get an idea of what it is for.
Artificially intelligent, web-based learning and assessment system. To understand what makes ALEKS the most effective learning system ever created, let's look at the science behind how it works. Science developed over decades of research at top universities. Let's take a look at Sam, a 9th grader who is struggling with Algebra 1. The first thing ALEKS needs to do is determine Sam's knowledge state. Sam's knowledge state is everything he already knows in Algebra 1. To get a basic understanding of what goes into computing the knowledge state, let's pretend that instead of consisting of several hundreds of topics, Algebra 1 only consisted of 5 topics. But even with only 5 topics, there are 32 possible knowledge states, or combinations of these topics. Now, some of these states are so impractical that in reality, there are actually only 13 feasible knowledge states that a student can fall into. All of these knowledge states are organized into a learning space. Mathematical structures specifying the relationships among the knowledge states and showing which topics the student is going to work on. To move from one knowledge state to another within the learning space, a student must learn a new topic, or forget the previously learned one. So our example involved only 5 topics. But if we look at the full Algebra 1 course, consisting of hundreds of topics, there are over 1 trillion feasible knowledge states that a student could fall into. ALEKS can accurately and efficiently assess where each student is among these trillions of knowledge states and know their exact position at all times. This is no simple task, and it's a task that hasn't been achieved by any other program. All of this works because mathematical cognitive scientists and software engineers at ALEKS have spent years gathering data from millions of actual students using the program. This data allows ALEKS to construct all the feasible knowledge states and how they're structured together into a learning space, leading to personalized pathways to course mastery for every student, no matter where they start. It all begins with a brief individualized assessment. Using learning space theory, ALEKS intelligently chooses each question based on the student's responses to all previous questions to determine what the student has mastered, not mastered, and exactly what topics he is ready to learn. The student sees their knowledge state as a multicolored pie chart, which lets them know what topics are available to explore. Everything happens step by step, one topic at a time, as ALEKS continually updates Sam's knowledge state and ready to learn possibilities. ALEKS constantly watches Sam and records his successes and failures, and this information is used to guide Sam along one of his optimal learning paths through the trillions of knowledge states in the learning space. Only ALEKS has that power. Because of this constant evaluation, ALEKS only presents topics that the student is actually ready to learn. ALEKS challenges the student without frustrating or boring him, resulting in tremendous learning momentum and increasing confidence. ALEKS will periodically assess Sam to make sure that he is retaining the material he learns. Research shows that periodic assessments not only ensure retention, but actually increase it. A cycle of individualized assessment and adaptive learning continues throughout the course to ensure that Sam has truly mastered and retained the concepts presented. At the conclusion of the ALEKS course, Sam will have a deeper understanding of the material and dramatically improved mastery over the course topics. ALEKS has already helped millions of students succeed in math, chemistry, and accounting at thousands of schools, colleges, and universities. For more information or for a free trial, sign up at aleks.com or call your ALEKS representative today.
All right, so that doesn't tell you everything there is to know about it, but it hopefully gives you an idea of what it is made to do or the purpose of it, how it would benefit students. We are looking to establish a consistent 6th through Algebra 2 curriculum for our future. Our goal has been to have the same publishing company, so we see that consistency not only for our students, but we would know what to expect that they've already been through instead of having different kinds of publishing companies used or different types of programs used. Programs we are currently looking at would help us achieve the district in building a wide school improvement plans for our math curriculum, and that we feel that the consistency of the curriculum and the supplemental program would also benefit our students greatly. That's okay. We can do that one. Yep, that's okay. All right, when we look at Alex, we think that one of the major benefits is that it addresses individual academic needs for a student. So for an example, if you had a sophomore taking geometry, they would be getting the geometry curriculum in their class. They might not be proficient or maybe just forgot some of their skills from Algebra 1. Alex would assist in establishing those skills needed so that the student could be successful in the geometry course, and as the supplement, it would help basically build those foundation pieces that are missing or need to be worked on again. Sometimes students just need to review it and then they remember it, and then it's filled in that space. So as a supplement, it wouldn't replace the geometry curriculum, but would help reinforce that prior knowledge that is needed in order to be successful in the geometry curriculum. I am a parent of 2 kids in this district, and I can't tell you how excited I was that not only for my students, but that my kids could get to use this. And the teachers that we've talked to that have used it before had nothing negative to say except for the fact that their districts didn't continue using it, the ones that we talked to, which was a cost issue. I mean, that's really what it came down to for those that didn't get to use it anymore, but they're like, if you can get it, you want it. That's what we were told repeatedly by other teachers that have used this.
And she's not exaggerating. I've never seen someone so excited about curriculum, and it was great to have that back. It was awesome to see that because it was genuine, it was real. And then this slide.
All right, so by utilizing textbook-based curriculum and establishing consistency across our math program, we hope to meet the needs of all of our students. Through continued support, we greatly appreciate your time and you listening to us and supporting us. We've met with Greg all summer and we've appreciated all of his support as well. Our departmental meetings, we hope to keep going and to make teacher-driven changes in our district.
Now you have an idea of what we are hoping for moving forward. I believe it's important for everyone to understand why we want this to be teacher-driven. How we got to this moment is essential to understanding where we are coming from. For starters, I want to be clear, these are strictly facts so everyone can understand what we have been through and why we are all here right now. In the 2017-2018 school year, some of us met with Stacey Bailey monthly to start having math conversations as a district. The purpose of these meetings was to create consistency throughout the district. She wanted to discuss topics such as grades, instructional materials, instructional delivery options, etc. Now this was at a time when it was becoming obvious that Khan Academy was not working for most of our students. These meetings were mostly ran by her to inform us of the changes that were coming. Decisions were made about the current curriculum in Gage, New York, from the top down at the administration level and not the bottom up teacher-driven. There wasn't conversation at any of those meetings, should we use it, is this what's best for kids? In fact, I sat at the table when one of my colleagues, who I respect greatly, asked if other curriculum could be looked at. We were ultimately told, no, the district is moving forward with this. This was in April 2018. That same week, or shortly after, an email was sent to Dr. Coffin and Miss Bailey by another teacher in hopes of looking at other curriculum. They ignored the email and administration had to handle it. It was a directive, they were given it, and they handled it in a professional way. So I want to make sure that's very clear. They were just doing their job. Start of the school year, 2018-2019. Engage New York was in full effect. My colleagues struggled with the curriculum, students did not like it, and I did it as well. I teach AP Calculus, and there was stuff in the Algebra 1 that I had no idea what was going on. I even told my colleague to cut it because it made no sense and kids would get frustrated with it. This was in September. In January 2019, I made a decision. It was a very tough decision, and only one other person knew about it. The rest of the math department had no idea. Griff Mills, who I trust more than anything, didn't know until a few days ago when I told him. I didn't keep this from him. I didn't keep him in the dark because I was worried about what he would do. He would have supported me 100%. It was quite the opposite. You see, Spider-Man, Batman, and any other hero you can think of don't wear masks to protect themselves. They do it to protect the ones they care about. That is why I kept this pretty close to my chest. So what did I do? That is the question of the day. I created another Google account. I was fearful of someone getting the email that I was going to send out and ultimately using it against anyone they could. That was the environment many of us lived. I lived that, and I'm being honest, that is what we went through. I'm happy to say that's not the case anymore, or we would not be standing here right now giving you this presentation. I took a leap of faith, and I emailed Mr. Simpson about my concerns with Engage and what my fellow colleagues were telling me about their experience, and I let him know that this wasn't teacher-driven. I asked him if he could look into ending Engage New York. I knew it would be a process, but this is what we needed. I asked him to keep this information confidential, and he did. Mr. Simpson, you have no idea how grateful that you listened to our concerns. You were giving voice back to the teachers. This started the conversation for change. In the weeks to come, teachers started having conversations with administration, and that is why in June we met with Mr. Lewis. We now have students who have had 2 years of inconsistent curriculum, Khan Academy and Engage New York, and now it's time for a change. We do believe there should be consistency. We want alignment in our courses, and we want more collaboration among us. We started that this summer in our larger math meetings, and I think it's been awesome. We met almost once a week. It was pretty sweet. I enjoyed it. Working with Kristen Hess and Jan Garner and everyone else who can make it, this is what drives great schools. A functioning team has players playing their part in a sport they love and have say in. We need more of that. So in closing, we want to thank you for the support and opportunity to have a voice. To Mr. Lewis for meeting with us over the last 2 months and putting up with everything that we were throwing on the table. And we appreciate the free lunch we had that one day. That was great. To the math teachers willing to meet over the summer and the opportunity to have discussion larger than just our own buildings. And finally, to the Board of Education for your continued support of teachers and allowing us to stand here today to present this to you. Thank you. Any questions? Are we good?
I'll give you two. First one, Alex.
Yes.
So it progressively increases the student, right? It progresses the testing.
At the student's pace, yes.
Student's pace. How does it handle the sunshine-induced memory loss they all incur over the summer?
We witnessed that before, we have. When you look at Alex, my personal view on it is that I see it as a great way to not only start to assess, because we all know as teachers you're constantly assessing where kids are. And it's never a one-shot deal. Nobody wants their whole future riding on one look at what they've been doing. So Alex is an opportunity for us to not only see where they're at when they start, but one of my favorite features is that it also tells me where I need to pull kids. This is something I've always done in small groups. For example, if I knew that kids were struggling with a particular skill, let's say dividing fractions, I would pull those kids, we'd work through examples, I would spend the time trying to figure out who was making the same kind of mistakes so that I'd pull those kids back together. So everybody working with me is in the same place. We're all working on the same mission. Work through the skills they need in order to improve and get better at it. And then hopefully they don't need me to do it with them anymore. But if they do, I would pull them back again. Alex actually would tell me, based on what they've been doing on the program, this group of kids needs to work on this. It would give me possible problems to work through with them, more than one, whereas I would have to take the time to figure out who those kids were. It was a huge time investment, but it was so worth it to know who to help with what. This would make it, I would be able to reach more groups. I'd be able to get more kids pulled back into their small groups. What's the rest of the group doing? They're working on Alex, so that I cannot waste any time in my class. Those kids are going to be benefited by spending time on Alex. But I can achieve so much more because I can pull those small groups back and work with them on the specific things I know they need to fill in those holes in the foundation so that we can keep building on it.
At the pre-calc level too, I was trying to figure out how I would really integrate this. I spent a lot of time doing SAT practice. And my experience with pre-calc is that when I have an integrated class, I have juniors and seniors and some sophomores. With Alex, what's going to be great about this, in the years past, a lot of my kids have asked, why do I have to take this practice SAT test? I've already taken the test last year. Now, with Alex, they hit me the other day, when my juniors are taking their practice SAT test with me, I can put my seniors out in the CPAL and have them work on Alex, which will strengthen their past skills, getting them ready for college. Because colleges, a lot of colleges use this. And it'll get them ready, because a lot of kids, when they go to college, if they go to college, they have to take a placement test. And a lot of it is based on Algebra 2, geometry, all the stuff they learned, but they forget it or they didn't know it that well. So this, for me, I think it's going to be a huge freak out.
So it identifies their lost prior knowledge by the stumbles they're
Right, or
experiencing.
they just need to see it again, like you said, they know how to do it, they just have to remember they know how to
And
do
if
it.
they don't know how to do it, what's nice with Alex is that you can see an example worked out. So it will show you an example, and then you progress at your own
Right.
pace.
So even though we teach very different classes, we could use it differently, and it would still benefit greatly the groups that we are working with. I think that's one of my favorite things about it.
Alex alerts you as a teacher
Um,
what's wrong with the student needs to work on a certain area?
Right, so I would say alerts is the word I would pick, because I don't know if it will specifically, but I can go into it as the teacher of that group and find out, which is what I was trying to do independently before, but now I have a much better resource. And so my hope is that I could then address more small groups, because I would know more groups that needed different kinds of help.
The artificial intelligence takes care of all the data and will visually show it to
Is
us.
Alex giving them programs to work on, or any problems to work on?
It would give problems to work on, yeah, based on what they are good at, what they need to work on, but also what they're ready to learn. We agree. We were very excited to see that. Whereas we, in the past, with other supplemental programs, you could still achieve that, but I would have to go in and assign the review problems, or make up an assignment that would cover what I want to cover as review. But I know that Alex is going to automatically know strengths, weaknesses, areas that we need to improve on, and it would automatically be cycling that student through it. It gives great feedback to the students as well as the teachers. It gives them, there's a pie chart that shows them the areas of strengths and areas that they need to work on, which is always a conversation that we have in my classroom when I sit down with kids one-on-one. And I say, what do you think you're really good at? And they tell me, and then I say, well, what do you think you need to work on? It's interesting because they're much harder on themselves than I am. And I'm thinking, I actually think you're pretty good at that, but let's work on this part. And that'll help you feel more confident. So I feel like Alex can give them, besides hearing it from me, another source that is database that's going to really, and as with anything, what you put into it is what you get out of it, which is a conversation we will have a lot in 6th grade. If you put in junk, you're going to get junk back. But if you're really putting your effort into it and quality work, it's going to help you build and get better at this, which is what I would love to see, that confidence build. I want to see the kids go, I got it.
And down the road, there is an SAT portion of it too, but to use that, the kids have, it will adjust to the kid, so they might not, if they're struggling with Algebra 1 and they're in Geometry or Algebra 2, they won't see those SAT style questions because they gotta go back and hit the stuff before it.
Start before that.
But we think over
Everybody.
time, it's gonna definitely help.
Absolutely. Everybody would start with review. Everybody, no matter what grade level you're in. My review obviously is very different than his, but my kids would start on 3rd through 5th grade skills, and that's where you begin. And so you want to build that confidence, see that growth, and we don't even plan on moving into grade level skills until February. Now some kids will get there faster, some kids will get there later, and that's okay, but that's going to be like, I'm not worried about can you do this grade, the skill I'm teaching with class right now as an expert. But I know it's going to keep coming back, and I know that we're going to keep visiting it and keep strengthening that, which is
She
what
said
I
that is normal. That is, when she came out to present that, that is completely normal. That usually takes till February to get kids to the course that they're at.
Right.
My second question is real easy. Could you please send a copy of your PowerPoint to our emails?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And how does K through 5 lines right up with
Great
what's
question.
going on in 6th?
Well, 6th through 11th is secondary, and K through 5 is elementary, so that is another conversation we would definitely like to have. Yeah.
Alex does go down to 3rd grade. We did ask that question.
Okay.
It goes down to 3rd grade, but as our focus, the math teachers that we're meeting this summer, we were really focused on our 6 through 12 programs that we were discussing.
Okay, I guess I just have one more question. And like, say me, for example, I, at some point, realize I want to be a carpenter or a plumber. And so I don't really need AP courses. Does it steer me into, I mean, does it help in that respect, or is it more high-end?
I think that the artificial intelligence part of it really addresses your individual needs. So if there's, if you want to be a carpenter, you still have to have some solid math skills. And it's something that even if you don't want to take AP Calc or AP Stats, you still can benefit from reviewing those skills and keeping them fresh in your mind. Because we all know that if you don't use it, even though you were taught it, that's always my favorite thing when I get a call from a 7th grade teacher, they're like, they say you never taught them this. And I'm like, oh, you put me on speakerphone because I'm good.
Yes, I did.
And then I'll say exactly what I said the year before, and they're like, oh, yeah, I remember this. Or I'll sing the song that goes into that, oh, yeah, she sang that a lot. And so they forget it if they don't use it. So I feel like that's the huge benefit. It will keep reviewing those skills you need. I think we can select specific areas, so if they're doing SAT testing and they maybe want to review Algebra 1 stuff specifically, then that's something that could be set up by the teacher, but that's not going to be driven by the program, that'll be driven by the teacher, which I think is really important.
And that is something that I'm thinking about doing for this year with it, because the heart of the SAT is Algebra 1, and when they get to the pre-calc level, it's assumed that they already know all that, and I can't spend a lot of time teaching that, and then I take away from pre-calc, which will have an impact on calculus. So I think that would help fill the, I hate to say gaps, but the prior knowledge of that is not as strong as it should be using ALEKS. And we have ideas of how we want to use it in the future, but we don't want to get into that until we know that it works the way we're thinking it's going to work. So we've been brainstorming, we got a lot of stuff we're thinking how we can use this.
And it would look different from grade level to grade level. I don't have one-to-one technology, in Will's classes he does, so obviously I'm going to use it differently in mine. It's not going to be set up the same way, but can still be extremely beneficial to my students.
Is it costly?
Yes. I'm not going to lie.
No sacrifice, no victory.
That's right. No pain, no gain.
We'll
talk about that later.
Currently using it?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody else in the county is using it.
Jan was the one that knew people that
had used it, but most of them were out of state that we had talked to. We didn't ask around the county, honestly. I just want to get my hands on it.
You mentioned books. What program are you looking at for that?
Well, right now we're looking at Reveal, and what's really cool with that, because we didn't want to really go too much into that until we knew we could officially, get them. But what's nice with Reveal, there would be 6th through 11th Algebra 2, and every kid would have a book. And they have ALEKS, it pairs up nicely with it. Some courses, there are 2 books, and the kids get to keep it, because it has all the notes already in it. It has the homework assignment in it. It has SAT prep for every grade level, at least at the high school, Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2.
And 1 book for 3 classes?
And
or a new book every
Think of
year?
it as a workbook. You would get a workbook that's split into 2 parts.
Semester 1, semester 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for me it would be 2 parts for the whole year, but Reveal is owned by McGraw-Hill, and this would be a consistent curriculum is what we're looking towards. This is not our final decision by any means. We want to see, we want to show us the magic.
We want us to make sure that it works, like we think it is.
Yes.
It's hard to sell any curriculum. For me, like calc, I don't use one curriculum. I use multiple sources to make the best curriculum I can.
Right.
It is really hard for me to lock into a textbook. I taught Algebra 2 before, so I know what it's like. When I saw the Algebra 2 Reveal program, I was amazed. I was truly like, wow. I asked Scott, the representative from McGraw, if they had that for pre-calc, and he told me they don't because it's only for Common Core, non-elective classes. Because I was willing to change how I do things to match the rest of the curriculum.
And it still allows teachers to supplement in the sense of if they like guided notes, then they could still use their guided notes. They would still have the examples in the workbook. It doesn't mean that you can't have your own creative license with how you're doing it. You still can do it what works best for your class, because obviously it's going to look different from teacher to teacher. We're not all cookie cutters of each other.
Thank God,
Could
right?
you implement this?
I'm sorry?
How quickly could you implement?
Well, we got the
2019-20.
Yeah, we got teacher edition books today. The representative, he's been working with us nonstop to make sure he knows our situation. God bless him, because he is really like pulling strings. He said that we should be able to have the textbooks, the student workbooks. He's hoping by the end of this week, no later than next week. Might go into the latest. He said absolute latest would be September 16th. We're looking at PD already, so we can get that lined up, so we can get trained properly. We're trying to cross all our T's with this one. We want to make sure we do it right.
We appreciate that.
We care about our kids, and we think
Absolutely.
that this is going to do justice.
Yes. But this would allow us to not only trial Alex for 6th through 11th, but it also would allow us to trial the McGraw-Hill curriculum in 6th through 11th.
I know that wasn't easy.
No, talking to grown-ups is so hard. This is so hard.
So you're getting rid of the theory when in doubt, choose C?
Yeah, that's not really the way to go anymore. Plus, that's not a choice in Alex, so that's not going to help you out.
If I can, just a couple things real quick, is it, we weren't supposed to really be looking to move to a new book and I don't say curriculum, but new delivery this soon. The intent was to take a year, draw the materials, and make a choice for the 2021 school year. Jan Garner's the one that took this task on, and she contacted several book publishers, but the problem is if you tell them, we don't want to do it this year, we want to do it 2021, you kind of go down the list a little bit. McGraw-Hill, I don't think it's Tim and Faith, but they stepped up right away and said that they would be happy to come here. They met with Jan and Kristen, I think, the first time, or maybe Will was in. I wasn't part of it. I told them.
I wasn't either, there was them too.
Okay, I told them, so this is going to be teacher driven. You do the research, you come back to me with recommendations, and I'll listen. Later on, I brought Jacob in because it was the summertime, nobody else was really around. Jacob's a math teacher, was a good math teacher, used Alex in the Ann Arbor Public Schools summer school program. I didn't know that when he came in. But when Jan stumbled into this, she thought it was something we had to act on. The cost isn't as high as you think. Our students will get a book, and the Alex program will be set up. Scott Goddard, who's a salesman, has got Devin's email right now, so he can contact him. The cost is $20 per student for both of those. That's a book they can take home. One thing that really satisfies, at least from complaints I've heard from parents from Compass, is their kids can bring a book home. They can keep it. They can have it forever. They can chuck it when they're done, if they're like I was. But they've got the option to have it. And it's laid out pretty well to maintain that. So it's it's $19,200 for us to go forward. And I need your blessing tonight to get that. At the end of the year, and they would look for a decision sometime around spring break, St. Patrick's Day, they would extend that for another 6 years at the same cost per student. But they would want the $160,000 that would cost paid over a 2-year period. Then you're paid up for 6.
They want to start this fall.
They're going to, yeah.
Yes, this coming fall.
We want to start it, but
Not a year.
it's not, the final decision on it won't be made until we see how it works for us.
We have a full year to pilot.
Okay,
So
sure.
For $19,248, that every kid in 6th grade, half of them in 7th, all the Algebra 1 kids, all the Geometry kids, and all the Algebra 2 kids will have a book in the ALEX software. All students 6 through 11 will have the ALEX software.
We'll have Alex, but their teachers can use other textbook-based programs. So it's.
So that,
I'm sorry?
that 19.2, is that what you said?
Yes.
And that is both the Alex program and the book?
And the Reveal, yes, the Reveal program. So that's the cost of it.
You had me prepared for a much higher number.
That is expensive.
Well,
when he said it, I was like, so what now?
We were caught off guard when he said that we could try it for a year, because we weren't expecting that. We were just going for Alex and hopefully trying it with 6th grade.
Right.
But he said if you can get more people on board, we will let you run with it. And
I think we know that's been an area that needed shoring up. Thank you.
Well, the key thing too is if we don't see the results that we anticipate at the end of that first year, we don't have to renew. We would just have to let them know if we want to renew sometime in March, April timeframe.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, sorry. wasn't supposed to move this fast, and I wish Jan could have been here tonight, because she put the yoke around her neck, and she pulled hard to get.
Well, she contacted multiple different programs, so this is not the only thing we've looked at. We've looked at Envision, we contacted McDougal Hotel and got
They haven't responded back
from
yet.
them. We also have looked at other supplemental programs as an option. Catch-up math we discussed at one point. We talked about the fact that we have been using MobiMax. So these are all different things that we've been discussing this summer, which I'm sure Mr. Lewis just loved every minute of our
I
time.
actually did, because it's like Will said, I mean, when there's some people sitting out here in the audience, I had the great fortune of coaching, and they were good athletes, but they were hard workers, and they enjoyed what they did. And his analogy of a team, I felt like I was just on the sideline watching the team do their thing, because I mean, they really did. It was a great feeling. There's when you have 10 people show up, 9 people show up, and 13 teachers the first time to voice their opinion, and we typically had not just these 3, but 5 or 6 people in there all summer long, with working around other planned vacations and things that had. When you see that kind of pride in the people you got, you support them, and they work very hard. I'm happy with what they did. I think that it's a good product, and if it isn't, there's no better people than them to go ahead and make that evaluation, and working through the year with the parents and the students, I think we'll see progress. If we don't, we're out $19,248. I mean, another savings part of this is we don't need to make 6 zillion copies anymore. The only thing we really have to copy is any supplemental material the teachers want to come up with in the assessments. You can't say tests anymore because that sounds ominous. But I mean, that's really all we have to copy. Everything else is provided by the company.
Right. They are consumables, so they're workbooks that the kids would write.
Jacob, did you use this? Is that what you said? You used this previously?
That's Alex.
Yeah.
And
Very
what was your
successful
experience
for
with
this
it?
month, it was like 5 years ago.
And it was,
I mean, it was successful in that month, yeah, that I had. I didn't get to see the follow through.
oh, okay.
And then our focus, so it was like a year beyond that, but, and it's 5 years modified, so.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the audience? Anybody?
Yeah, Jackie?
So you talk a lot about pulling small groups of kids who are struggling in a certain area.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody has access to this and the kid is really proficient and they tend to move beyond the class,
Then I can pull those kids too.
Okay.
Awesome.
And I can give them specific directions that I want them to get. They don't typically need my help to do it, but typically it's more, I narrow in their focus on something. So as much as I'd like to say I help them the most, they don't really need my help or want my help, but I can fine tune their direction that they're going in and say, well, you've really got this part down, but let's work on this part. Or for that matter, if I have somebody who is consistently not producing what I want to see, because everybody works at a different rate, so you can't say getting enough problems done. It's definitely not that. But if I think that they're struggling, I'm going to pull them aside and say, hey, what can I help you with? Sometimes you just need to do a few problems with them, and then they go, oh, I don't need you, get away. I'm going to do this by myself. And so it depends on what they need, what I'll do. But Alex would help me figure that out.
And then another question. This system, this delivery system, is during class time. This does not add on additional homework. Hey, you're struggling, go home and work on that.
And that's where it would look very different from grade level to grade level. All right.
At the high school with Flex, my pre-calc kids, I could have them come in and work on it for 20, 25 minutes. So it really depends on the course.
Right. Whereas I would like to set aside a chunk of time because I want to be able to pull whatever groups I need to pull in their small groups. And so I would like to see it in the supplemental programs I've used in the past. It's been one large chunk of time. I want to try breaking it into 2 chunks of time to see if that helps me help the most kids as possible in that time frame, whatever it is they need.
And then whatever they are not able to get done due to time management.
It's never ending, it's never gonna end.
Right.
So
I just think,
would I assign this as homework? Let me answer that. No,
Okay.
I would not.
Okay.
I like homework in 6th grade to be a review of skills that you should be like, this is simple, get out of my way, Mrs. Hess.
I'd be the kid who would like go home and just be like geeking out on math.
Well, and that's okay if it's a kid that wants to do that. But I also would say to that kid, I don't want you stressing out about this. This should not be.
I guess that's the underlying question I have. Will this
Right.
create more stress due to
No, not at all. Not in sixth grade. That is not what this is for in sixth grade. And I would never want it to be that for a kid in sixth grade. Now, I've met very driven kids, and I could see them applying pressure to themselves, but then I would be saying to them, because I'd be able to see what they're doing, go outside and play in the dirt, because you don't need to do all this every night. You need to go find something to do.
You can monitor both of them.
Absolutely.
We can also see with Alex too, from the teacher perspective, if they're on it for 30 minutes and they don't answer any questions, it will tell us. Like, so if they have it open and they don't do anything with it, it tracks it. Like, it does everything.
But we can find out why. Are you having a rough day? Something going on? What can I help you with? Sometimes they just need a day where they don't do as many programs, and that's okay. As long as that's not your trend, because overall we want this to help them. But I like the analogy that if you're not putting in your best, it's not going to give you its best. So what you put in is what you get back. And I think that's a great way to talk about it with kids, because they don't want me to waste their time. I don't want to waste their time. And I want this to benefit every one of them, which is, to me, a huge deal. It makes me feel like, I could do so much more in the same amount of time.
Look at one.
So exciting.
I know. Were there any other questions from the?
Oh, yeah. I just had a quick question. So I'm super excited about all of this. I have a ninth grader in geometry, so excited about that. I have a kindergarten brain. I taught kindergarten. I teach for a different school district. So what will K-5 or Y-5 do? Are they going to stick with Engage? And then is that going to cause a problem when they get to sixth grade?
Okay, great question, great question. They have not been using Engage.
Oh.
The Engage movement started with sixth grade. We were the ones using it first. And then just this last school year went 7 through 12, well, 7 through 11, I guess is a better way to say that. Because high school is not my department. So they use a different curriculum, correct. Now, I'm sure we kind of feel like we are starting a conversation that we desperately have wanted to have, and so I'm excited that other people are going to want, I've already had other teachers come to me and say, hey. And so it started more conversations, and that's what I'm excited about. It's to see teachers saying, wait, how do we get our hands on that? And Alex itself would only go down to third grade. That's what the company has presented to us, that it goes down to third grade. So I don't see that as something that I would ever put a kindergartner, first grader, second grader on. I know they have other options at McGraw-Hill. This is not their only option, but this is where our focus was in our meetings this summer.
Reveal is like a companion curriculum.
Reveal is the curriculum, and Alex would be our supplemental program.
Reveal can be done without Alex. We
Yes.
can use Alex without Reveal. So
Yes.
the two together, and it's designed that way that you can use it together.
Yes.
But he even told us taking on both in 1 year will be, it'll be a lot.
He told us it was
And
going
we
to be
are
a lot.
ready for that challenge. I feel like we are ready.
We said bring it on.
We said bring it on. Yeah, those were the words that we used. We are hungry,
Yes.
and we think that this is going to help all kids.
Yes.
So we're ready.
We're excited.
Like I want the books out of your office so I can take it back to the high school. Like
Get them on the way out.
I'm planning on it.
But it sounds like it can be aligned for.
Yes, it does not have to be used with the McGraw-Hill program. The benefit of looking at McGraw-Hill is that we can look at Alex as well at the same time. But if we wanted to just go with Alex, we could just go with Alex. But we haven't committed to the McGraw-Hill program, we're just looking at it.
And Alec, can we use the third grade portion of it right away, or is that no?
That is
that
not-
just 6
I
through?
don't think so.
Nope,
I think just
nope.
6 through.
You don't want to make commitments for people who aren't there.
No.
And that was something that we
Right.
talked about frequently. We
Yeah.
wouldn't commit for other people who were not sitting there.
But for future
Yeah, they could.
As a
meetings,
possibility,
we already
yeah.
had on the plate
Yeah.
to try to get everyone.
Yeah.
That would definitely
At a
be a
The
meeting.
conversation needs to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we're starting it. I think that's going to help other people start having their conversations that they want to have.
Yeah.
I hope.
I hope so too.
I hope.
Anything else?
Right.
Audience?
Well, I just want to thank you. I know you've been putting hours and hours in, so I appreciate it a lot. I know the whole board does.
Sure do.
Suzanne went to a meeting.
Yeah.
And
They ate all the pizza.
That was John Laney. Told you I would throw you out
It's
under
been
the
fun.
bus.
It's been fun. I've gotten to know Will because I don't see him. And he's in a different building. He teased pretty cow. He doesn't talk to him.
And maybe Cal can do that.
But we got to know each other, and I think it's been really fun working together. And it kind of made me excited about departmental meetings and seeing where we can take it as a whole group, because you put that many people working together towards that common mission. It is a team.
That is something that we've been missing for a long time.
Mhm.
I think it's good that we have started that and having these meetings to float ideas around. Like, it was awesome, like, when we were working on this PowerPoint, we went to Jan Gardner's house and we were sitting there and knocking it out. Never thought I'd be at Jan Gardner's house. Didn't know she was a golfer. I mean, it started conversation, which was, I am super excited for it, just as far as trying to keep it tame for right now.
You're doing a good job. You're doing good.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that.
Today, tonight, I mean,
So we got to vote on that
$19,248, I think. It's just, I can text him tonight, he'll start the process, maybe he can get a PO prepared, the invoice they gave me, and it'll get delivered within 7 working days, but we have 2 holiday days in that too.
You guys see any problem with it at all?
Probably should have a motion to reopen the revisions.
Well, then I'll make a motion to reopen revisions.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So now
We need a motion to make it an action item.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to make it an action item.
So we're,
So the 19th.
Second.
so we're
Acting on
not to
trial.
exceed 20,000?
Correct.
So let's make a motion not to exceed 20,000 for startup costs, startup program.
And I think that's, again, I think that kills a couple birds with one stone. It gives us that balanced program that I think we need, but as much as anything, it gives us, it puts a book in the hand of our students that a lot of parents, especially in the middle school years, have asked for. Believe me, that's one of the things I got marked with when I first took the job. I need a kid, my kid needs a book, I don't know what they're doing in math. And it wasn't just math, but that was the big one. And again, this was just dumb luck. It was Jan Gardner's hard work, but dumb luck just wandering into this program, this opportunity.
You want me to make a motion? No, we are talking. So I'll make a motion that we add to the action items a vote for up to 20,000 for the math department.
I'll second that.
Okay, so now it's on the action.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any more revisions to the agenda? Approve it as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve it as amended.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, discussion items, preliminary audit report and timeline, Nikki?
Hello, everyone. We had our audit last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and obviously we don't have a formal opinion yet, but as a preliminary status, we had no recommendations for adjustment, which is great, fantastic news. But we will have a formal presentation. Principal Maynard Saracen will be here October 14th to present that in more detail with you. And then for the safety grant, just to touch on that real quick, we had entered into a contract with someone to manage the putting the entire process together for us. Devin put some locations for the current cameras and all of those things on the maps for all the buildings involved, and we have sent those to him. And so our next step is to meet with each principal at that building and do a walkthrough. I think Devin's going to be there, and Mike would be involved, and then the here as well, put a plan together for that. So that's where we are in that process too. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then we had a $5,000 anonymous donation for the sculpture garden. So, and then let's move on to action items. 2019-20 building handbooks and athletic code. It's in your packet, so everybody had time to review it. Make a motion to approve the handbooks and athletic code.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion?
We didn't, we haven't talked about the mission statement yet, and it is on here.
Right, we have that.
So are we just leaving it for this time frame?
You could just change it to student. Thought we were doing that.
Yeah.
Determination.
I don't know, are they already printed, what's?
Are they printed?
We've already changed it, I sold them.
The students?
The one that I got, so I don't know. Okay. That was the only thing that I noticed that it is what it is for the time being, so.
Any other discussion? I'm good. All right, all those in favor of the handbooks? Aye.
I,
Aye.
All right, approval for the RFP for technology purchase. Just in your packet. And Innovation, is that correct, Devin? That's correct. For $62,704. So they're $156 a piece. We got 400 new Chromebooks and then 200 cases.
Yes.
21 each. And I get a motion to approve the bid from Innovation for $62,704.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Innovation.
Support.
Now that's 62,704 plus the 42, right?
Yes.
Yes, yep, sorry, yep.
Make a motion to get the full package. For the Envision full package, for the Chromebooks and the cases.
Support.
Any discussion?
No.
Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, next item is board seats, the terms of board seats. Discussed a couple different times in board meetings. And Terry got us the information, so I said, well, let's just put in an action item to change it to a 4-year term. So I think Becky and you and Mike.
Mike, Kevin, and I
Okay.
will be the first seats that are up for re-election in 2020.
So those would change to 4-year seats at that point.
Correct.
And then
Going forward.
and then the next, so each time there's a new election.
Next would be
before.
Suzanne, no.
Does not retroactively affect.
No,
Correct.
it does not.
It's going
No,
forward.
you can't do that.
Right.
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 Right. Right.
So it works out where it's,
Second.
okay, good.
Yeah,
So
Was it 3-2,
every 6 years you have.
3-2-2?
we're 2, you're 3, and then John, Tim are 6.
Okay. All right.
When they're up, they're four.
Yes.
So, yes, going forward, it would always be 4s.
We're not changing from John and I's term.
You
right?
guys
It's not-
stay
it's
safe.
not
Still stay
retro.
6 because that's what the
Right.
voters voted for. You can't.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
right.
right.
But going forward,
But going forward, we want to change it to 4 to try to get more people involved.
Okay.
Run for the board at 6-year terms is a long time. So
yeah.
it's hard enough to get people for 4
If you like it, run again.
Great.
Make a motion, we change our, well, you're gonna.
Yeah.
I got an official one this time. I don't have to make it up.
All right, make sure you're not gonna make it.
But Pursuant to board bylaws and policies 0130 functions, which outlines procedures to amend board bylaws and policies, I hereby move to amend bylaw 0140 membership subsection 0142.3, which outlines the term of elected school board members as follows. Members of the board shall be elected by the school electors for the term of 4 years. The remaining portion of section 0142.3 shall remain in effect as written. The amendment shall be effective as of August 26, 2019, and for the ensuing school board elections. And that's all I have.
Support. Any discussion?
Did you, no, sorry, did you support?
Yes.
Roll call, Suzanne.
Here, aye. Here. I'm here.
Aye.
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 Okay, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. It's approval from the minutes from the regular board meeting on August 12th. And then the acceptance of the $5,000 anonymous donation for the sculpture garden. I did mention that someone on the sculpture garden wanted the plaque for Ron Fremsen. So they requested that for Ron Fremsen, who used to be our art teacher here, his name being on the plaque. So it's not his donation.
We have one more action.
Yeah, one more action. So I'm gonna go back up because I skipped one here. So, we need a motion for the $20,000 for the math program.
I make a motion that we support the $20,000 for the math program.
Support.
Any discussion?
We have to make it clear that we're just, what we're approving right now is just the first year.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
Question?
We're getting ready to. Sorry, I wasn't sure what you were telling me I did wrong. I'm sorry, what you amended to?
Yeah, but it's just.
It's 1 year,
For the
but it's a,
1 year.
Okay.
not to exceed 20,000.
So we make a motion to approve the $20,000 for the math department for the first year for Alex and the wrong books.
Review.
Reveal.
Yes.
Is that clear? I'm sorry.
Support.
Right, understand that if we're not happy with it, we just walk away from it. That's what I think.
Right.
Any discussion?
Mike?
Shake your head. Going backwards.
Aye.
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 All right, moving on to the consent agenda, again, that's minutes from the last board meeting on August 12th, and acceptance of the $5,000 donation for the sculpture garden. Get a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye. All right, item scheduled for next agenda is school opening update, food service department update, MASB search workshop, interview preparation. And then that's really it right now, so that brings us to our second public comment portion of the meeting. Because agendas are full, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. So if you have something you'd like to comment, please come to the podium and state your name. Okay. All right. Next item is board member comment discussion. I was wondering, we got some principals here, if you guys can just tell us how it's going so far, and because we're a week away, well, yeah, almost a week.
We had our 234 open house tonight. Saw a lot of smiles. positive. Looking forward to tomorrow, our 5-6 open house. Nice.
Yeah.
It was.
Are you
Saw Kevin.
Are you changing the pattern at all because of different start times now?
No, we're gonna
keep it?
that.
Okay.
Yep. Stay consistent.
All right.
Like
Yep.
consistency.
Patty, you
Absolutely.
No, the school bus go in the back.
Oh.
Yep. Probably
Safer
don't need it.
that way, I like.
The STEAM centers, we have our open houses on Wednesday night, 6 to 7:30. It's going to be an informal drop-in kind of format where parents and kids can come in, find out who their mentor teacher is, and then go around the building and meet all their different teachers, and they make me kind of happy this year. We're still working on scheduling. As you know, I came in last week, so working really hard on getting that done. So we're all set. We're getting there.
The high school, we're getting ready, excited. Will mentioned the team, and you guys, the 7 people we added, teachers that we introduced tonight, we added some really good people. Our team just continues to get stronger, which only benefits our kids. So we're excited about that. One difference when we walk into the high school, something that Jake and I saw when we went to Bloomfield Hills, there was a receptionist right there that greeted you right when you walked in the doorway. So if you haven't been over to the high school, we have a desk out there by the pool, and they'll have eyes on people coming in.
I like that a
and
lot.
kids,
I did.
and kids going out. And so we're excited. We're going to have 4 people, 4 secretaries in our office this year, so I'm really excited about that. So
I like
How'd you
that.
manage that?
What's that?
I said, how'd you manage that?
A lot of prayer. No, we're excited. We're ready to go.
We're gearing up at North, very excited to start a new school year, was very happy. We had our teacher resign on Friday, just kind of thought maybe it was coming, her family moved up towards the PV area, so she was looking. But we got Bethany Klinger put in place today, Greg and I, and she's, I don't know if you know her, but she's been a preschool teacher for us for the past several years, and she's amazing. So she's been looking for an opportunity to get into the classroom, and she's already there, and she's gonna pull a couple all-nighters to get ready for open house, but Kristen and I have been working closely together to get her ready for South too, so it's exciting and we're ready to roll.
So I started a week ago today. So we went from 4 sections of first grade down to 3. So I've been focusing on that and splitting up that class. And then just getting ready, scheduling, map schedule, Melanie and I will be sharing a new art teacher. So figuring that schedule out and teachers getting ready for open house. Most of the teachers have been there hours and hours and getting ready. So we're excited.
I'm excited to have Jake.
I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah.
No, I worked a little bit, like I said, in the central office over the summer, so just getting all the licensing and everything going, trying to get the programs up and going, learning all that, so keeping the school improvement and media stuff moving forward. So that's going pretty well. I told Greg I spent about 2/3 of the time learning, 1/3 doing, so found that appropriate, but we're in a good spot, I think, with that, so a lot of collaboration.
One thing he is somebody I think Will talked about, or Kristen talked about drive. Jacob has that drive. His motor runs. He didn't sit around and think, well, what do you want me to do? He dove right into it, got started, and used the resources he had, intelligence he was given to get started. That was a good thing because I really didn't have anything to offer him when it came to a lot of what had been done with licensing. And I still hear him talk about, laws and all that. I don't really know what any of that stuff is. I don't have kids in the district, so I don't know what they're talking about. And for him to take, jump in and get after it like he did, I really appreciate it. He did a real good job.
And so we're not using Buzz this year, we're using.
Yeah, East Well East Bay.
Okay.
Yep.
And is that through 7 through?
It's, it's right now 7 through 12.
Okay.
For this year, that STEAM centers did in their last couple months.
Correct,
I think
from
that
April to June.
they gave it a try on there, there was a lot of success, the teachers loved it in there, so now we're pushing 7, 12. And it'll be a slow implementation starting in, we gotta talk to our teachers what expectations are. And eventually you'll be able to build classes and stuff in them, but we want it to be a one-stop shop eventually, so if parents or students get in there, they can have links to a lot of other resources, but we want them to come from that. Because in today's education, there's resources all over the place, and it can be very difficult to organize. So that's why a lot of schools are going to these learner management systems. So this is, I believe, a really good one.
You did a trial, end of trial survey at the end of the school year for D2L Brightspace for both the 7th and 8th grade parents, and they loved it. There were a couple hiccups and stuff that we knew about, like the grading piece, things that we, are still working through, but overall product, they really, really liked the product over Buzz, and wanted to see that continue, so we're going to constantly improve on that.
We had an informal meeting with 4 or 7 new teachers today, and just out of the blue, one of our teachers said, talked about Brightspace and how much she was enjoying it and how she was using it. It was kind of nice to hear.
Yeah, the more we learn, the better. It's adaptable. You can set it up very kid-friendly, younger grades, those type of things, and get it more adult-friendly. I mean, MSU uses it, and those where it was partly developed and those type of things. So it has a wide range of how you can vary it. So that's a good thing, because a lot of times schools will outgrow their learner management system, so hopefully this one can grow along with us. So we're hoping.
Anything to add, CJ?
We're rolling. We no, we're going. Other teams are playing, so we're rolling. The last 2 weeks have been going, so it's been good so far.
This is an awesome team. I mean, you guys have really made this happen, and this is going to be an amazing year. Thank you. Thank all of you.
Any other board comment or discussion? No?
Don't look at me.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
The board.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.